Hello. Going a bit dark tonight. So who's with me already? We've got tonight a little bit of calm evening finally. I had enough to eat. Hello, the second one. Hey Janice, nice to see you here. I just kind of started off. So one of the first, one of those streams that I basically have some music in the background, so let me know if it's too loud. And I've got, instead of my usual lighting, I've got a bit of candles, so I'm in the dark side tonight. Yeah, in terms of diving in life, in experiences and stuff, I've had, I would say, cool, thanks. I've had a couple of really deep spiritual experiences, and I was thinking for myself, which was the first one that really left an impact? And that one was with my first girlfriend, where I don't think many people really unintentionally experience this stuff, or they do, but they don't really have it on that level. So it was very intimate, of course, not gonna go into that much detail, but I do know that we basically, both of us, disappeared. Disappeared, not physically disappeared from the plane of reality, but what happened inside of us was like experiencing nothingness, if you could put it that way. But at the same time, both of our consciousnesses, or both of ourselves became one, and it was something like that definitely left a mark on me, because at the end of the day, I'm just gonna put it a bit more quiet for myself. At the end of the day, it was always something that I couldn't experience so easily later on, and it made me aware. So I was about 16, I think. It made me aware that there's so much more to our existence than just the physical itself. So it's like, you want to call it a soul or spirit. I mean, I prefer to call it all together, like as energy. Hello, hi Jennifer. Everything for myself was experiencing, let's say, the state of pure energy itself. So that was the first, let's say, like a deep spiritual experience. Then the last one, so the latest, was more profound. That one definitely left me with a feeling where I could connect my whole life, from being born to that moment, and also from that moment onwards, everything else that has happened, basically almost the whole past year. So the experience was that I was on my bed, exhausted, lack of sleep for weeks, should have been going to sleep, but I couldn't. And held my phone in my hands, shaking. And I was really desperate, thinking that the last thing I can do is call the emergency services and just ask them to help me out to sleep. I threw the phone all over the room and laid back in my bed. For the first time in my life, I would say, I tried to pray so many times before in my life, but this was for the first time. And I actually spoke in my own language, in the native language, Slovenian. But even though in English, if I translate it, all I said was like, I'm so sorry I never actually spoke to you so honestly and intimately before, but please, tonight I just want to sleep. And I can't even remember how quick, but I think it was pretty much as soon as I finished that prayer, so to say, within seconds I fell asleep. And it wasn't just sleep. It was, when I woke up, I felt as if I was like in the middle of a warmest, nicest place ever. So I woke up and I felt refreshed, different, and I just understood that each and every one of us on this planet is loved. Even the most violent, vicious, and evil people are loved as well, which is kind of hard to understand, and you can't really push yourself to understand these things. But when you experience it, you know that it's just because they don't know how to experience the love, it doesn't mean that they are bad. Because at the end of the day, myself, I was missing the biggest component of not just experiencing that for a short moment, but actually starting to live that, was finding the fact that everything comes from within you, and everything that you need is you. So through all of the experience, and then 2 days ago, sorry, I have to put it a bit like this, better for me. Through all of the experience I've had, a couple of days ago, I was speaking to a good friend of mine about these things in terms of, and this is good for you, Jennifer, the trauma, the pain, the experience of identities that we put, how we identify and attach ourselves to emotions, meanings, feelings, the past, the present, and also the future. So first begins the question of self. And I've also been really, I enjoyed asking people a lot. Those people that I understood, that were already searching deeper. I always enjoyed asking them, who are you? And not to my surprise, a lot of people would begin identifying themselves with the name, what they do in life, and all of these things. Or sometimes we put some other meanings to ourselves, like I'm a light worker, or I am light. The catch that most of us don't still really pay attention to. And sometimes, even when we know, it helps to have a practice session with a friend that will help you, guide you through those things. So when you look at this, when you speak to yourself, when you go, whether it's in the past terms or the present. I was traumatized, I was a broken child, blah, blah, blah. Still, at the end of the day, when you go and look at ultimately at the stuff that is even being said in the Bible, I am. And this is where it starts. What are you gonna say next is what you're gonna give your power to. And then most people, including myself, we all get into the trap of what we want and don't want. Where do we focus our energy on? So it ultimately really doesn't matter. When you want something, you're just telling yourself that you're not it yet. It's there, some point in the future, so it's always running away from you. And when you don't want something, you're fighting against things. And as soon as you go against something, you're gonna have to be dealing with tougher, bigger, more challenging opposition in an energy either or material stuff. So you come back to the center and then you realize that everything is really happening here and now. And the here and the now is what will create and what also detaches you from what happened in the past. So if you want to, let's say, ask yourself, how do I fix something? How do I heal physically or mentally? So Jennifer, you were asking me, how did I fix my body? My best answer to that is, I don't know how. But one thing at that moment, whether it was a broken collarbone, or rather say shattered, or anything else, the longer you keep telling yourself something like, I'm hurt, or anything in that concept, which tells your body and yourself that you're being sick, that you're being broken, that there's something wrong with you, you will keep finding more of that. So as hard as it can get in those moments, it's up to best effort. So let go of what will be and what should be, but really focus in that real time moment on what you are. I am healthy. I am happy. I am loving. Because this is really what's going on with all of us. Anything you want to own and really keep doing well is happening here. So the more able we're of letting go of our own interpretations, the closer we get to something that is really feeling yourself, knowing exactly where you are and what you want, not in the future, but right now, what you want right now. And also, people will say, talking to God or something. I kind of like to quote Nikola Tesla here, that however you want to imagine this, but every one of us was born with an ability to connect to a higher source of knowledge wisdom, divinity. Even Nikola Tesla, as smart as he was, did not ever deny existence of something higher and greater than us. Einstein as well. It's really more or less the modern science that started to mess things up. In my opinion, the science and spirituality should be the two fields joining together, and there's a lot of good cases that I find that are actually doing that. So, looking at this perspective of the divine, the creator, the God, I was just, before starting this stream, I was thinking, God, in a sense, created life, right? We also create life. Whether we plant a seed of a plant, or we take care of animals and we make sure that they are populating, or ourselves. So, and there's loads of other religions also back in the Far East that are aware of the fact that every step, everything we do has influence on life itself. So ultimately, whether you want to go to church every Sunday or you want to practice some specific stuff, whether you like it or not, we're always connected with everything that is divine. And that's why I'm saying it's really the people, and up to them, or the state of mind anyway, whether you want to stay broken or you want to actually just open up yourself and observe, in a sense of allow anything to happen and pick what works for you, because where you focus is what you actually get. Exactly, yeah. Thoughts and words, frequencies. It's not just the thoughts. For the most part, I think thoughts are the products of what we feel, because the thoughts are already modified and influenced by our language. So I think and express myself quite differently in my own language than I do in English, even though I say the same things and I mean the same things. It can be completely perceived differently by other people. And that's also another thing. Don't shut up. I like the interaction on the channel here. It's also the people that are limiting the power of their own belief in any kind of sense. Because just look at, for example, just the basic Christianity, for example. I'm talking basic as in the Catholic principle. You have to go to Sunday every church. But what if I can't move? What if there is no possibility for me to be in in church on Sundays? Do I go to hell? No, I don't. Because when you read carefully, it's everywhere. I mean, God is everything. God is us, and everything is God. The stone, the table, whatever you turn around, you will find God. The whole creation. If you hop off to another dimension and the other universe, it's still what the Creator made. It's not just this limited reality where we live, our own universe. We need to understand that ultimately, if you look at the principle of Lucifer and stuff, I mean, he was just another of the deities that were, created. By whom? By the God himself. And what was their purpose? To serve God. They were trying to say no, and then whatever, because they don't have the free will, they have their own different purposes now. alignment is the one, exactly, because healing, let's say the self-healing power, and I really have experienced that on myself, because as I'm not I'm not one of those people who goes and practices meditation every day. I don't do stuff because I think it must be done. But when I broke my bones, the doctors said because you smoke and because of your lifestyle, it's gonna take you so much longer to heal than the average person. To their own surprise, on the first checkup, so that was 5 weeks after my shattered collarbone, the doctor wanted to take more pictures from with an X-ray, because he said, I do not understand how can you be 95% healed in 5 weeks. I said, I also don't understand, but I just know that it was easy to be done, basically. It's quite simple. Yeah, it's not just a divine being. Let's say, one of the things I really disliked about the New Age spirituality, which is trying to sometimes do good things to free people from the habits of religious fanaticism, but on the other hand, they are constantly telling people that everything is happening just one direction, up. Yeah? When we finally understand that all of the emotions and all of the experience we have in life is a whole complete circle of what we are meant to experience in order to become who we truly are and see ourselves, if we really go for that, once you really go that step beyond, you can clearly see how you attracted the people, how you attracted certain situations or energies, and regardless of what was the outcome, you either had a very valuable memory or a valuable lesson. At the end of the day, the whole you was always there. There's the difference between the person that was acting your role so you could learn who you are, if that makes sense. So most of us end up acting the roles. I am the father. I need to do this. I need to make money. I need to perform this ritual. I need to start believing in this. Either way, we're trying to do things because we picked them from someone else. Correct? It's a toxic cocktail. None of us were ever meant to do anything else for others to begin with. Because when we're born, our needs are meant to be served first. And when our needs are met, then we'll learn how to serve others as well. But do we learn that by the norms of how we're meant to live, by the rules of the others? When we look at the really deeper Zen and Buddhist principles, and when you really read Bible many times over and over again, it comes ultimately down to realizing that you cannot keep playing with the meaning of the forgiveness itself. Because if you think that you have to forgive, it also means that you were completely judging. And judgment always comes from the mask of the ego and the mask of the society. So forgiveness in itself, as I've learned from all this path and journey in this year is a very, very powerful sense and emotion. But it's just one more step closer to realizing if you're a child, 5 years old, and you throw a tantrum, are you the guilty person? Are you the one who needs to forgive yourself? Do the parents need to be forgiven? Ultimately, none of those parties involved at that time had the knowledge and the skills to know any better. Everyone did what they honestly believed was good. Let me see what you're saying, because I think I've seen these 7 steps. Acknowledge the feeling. Yeah. It's literally peeling off the layers like an onion. It's a process. Yeah. And correct. You have the decision. Everybody has a decision what goes here and now. So you can literally practice. What do I want? Or what do I want to be? And what do I feel about that? And then you can practice again what I don't want to be. And what do I feel about that? And I've done this practice with a friend of mine. And we kept repeating until I finally said I feel nothing of what I want to be and nothing about what I didn't want to be. So I didn't want to be anything, and there was nothing I didn't want to be. So I also felt nothing. And at that moment of silence, you have infinite number of possibilities where things can go. It's a mind fuck and a half, yes. Ultimately, we're always able to control just one and one thing alone. And that is, I am. And that's the only thing you control. Whenever something happens to us, not just something on the street, let's say somebody bumps into you, there's always going to be the first reaction, which is going to be physical. Maybe there's a bit of pain, a surprise, a jump in a heart. And at that moment, there's either an automated response or the I am. You can't control what was happening with that person, where they were looking, where they were walking or bicycling or whatever's going on. But the I am is that ultimate powerful being in that moment to control everything that happens in that moment. And I've had situations, really weird ones, or even accidents like that, that I'm just describing. And it was really irrelevant what I heard or saw around me. Inside me was really important to make the right decision for that moment, because I could see multiple ways where things can go. So, yeah. Being mindful of your breath, being mindful Jennifer, yeah, of your thoughts. My mother, how can I put it? Because she's still alive, yeah. Um, she would be one of the best examples of permanent victim role. So in a sense, like quite a heavy, covert narcissist as well. But I could never find words to say hate. I could find it hard to find words to say to hate any human being, to be honest. But there was a huge difference between my physically abusive father and her. So I understand what you're saying there. But again, comes back down to, do you have to forgive them? Or is there anything you have to forgive yourself? Because that thing, whatever it is, happened already. No one can change it. No one can do anything about it. And even if you had the opportunity to maybe talk again to parents, what would you get out of it? More disappointment, maybe, because most people are not even aware of what they're doing. Remember what Jesus said when he was crucified. Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. So it's funny enough that Jesus had to ask God to forgive. We're not the ones to ask for forgiveness. We just need to understand ourselves. From here on, it is us. Now when you're awake, now when you know I am that I am, this is where you're ultimately responsible, not what happened before. That's why I think most of the Catholic priests are in a very bad spot once they're at the end of their turn. Because there's a difference between the confession process and just knowing you fucked up. So don't be afraid of the dark forces around us. There are many. But fear is exactly what they feed on. Because however you want to see it, you have to actually feel it deeply inside. There's so many other beings on this planet that are completely unaffected by the influence that we see through the media and many other networks. And just because there can be maybe just one single soul on this planet that stands up and keeps standing, the whole contract as it was defined by their own game has already fallen apart. So personal freedom doesn't come from religiously repeating what we're being told. Enlightenment or speaking with an actual divine, higher self, God, universe, whatever you want to name, because for me those are irrelevant meanings. Experience of pure love and light is a very intimate experience. And then there's the path. And each and every one of us have our own journey. There is no way I can tell other people what is their journey to the light. But I can tell them one thing. When I heard from a person, stop resisting. Precisely that. If it hurts, embrace. So, staying still within your heart and your awareness, this is where we are. This is who I am. This is who you are. And when it comes to that level, yeah, that's why you people came around, you know, that's why everyone connected suddenly, because we have questions and we all get answers precisely at the time when we're finally ready. Not just to receive them, but also to actually fully experience those. You can't cognitively find ways how to self-heal. You are healed. You are already everything. And the next step is always just a new lesson or a new experience. And another one that I would kind of keep it as a conclusion. This is the one that I already knew long ago, before I even started pondering on different realities and experiences and spirits, the spiritual side of things. So being an anti-fascist. But I was not, unlike other anti-fascists at that point, not fighting against something. I was always standing a stance of fighting for, standing for. So that's also the energy of resistance. Do you want to fight against the dark forces? So you're gonna use aggression and the aggressive stance and the aggressive energy towards the enemy who feeds on the aggression? It's not gonna work. So if you want to make sure that things work all right for all of us, now, not 20 years from now on, but now. Do everything for love, do everything for freedom, do everything for what you really desire right now. Most of all, there's nothing to look for. You don't have to look for yourself because you already are here. And you don't have to look for God either because God is everywhere. My favorite quote, Really my favorite. And I'll leave you for the rest of the night with this one. When I was looking for myself, I found God. And then I started searching for God, and I found myself. With all of that knowing that all of us are one with the great oneness itself. Everyone is loved, and everyone, today and yesterday and tomorrow, and anytime, watching this, following my channel, making me happy, of course, with all your help. There's a few people that helped me today. And this is how we all do it. We help each other in any way we can. It all happens here and now. And it's not much to do, not much we have to do. But just wake up and know that it is you that creates that very moment for yourself. And when you start doing it for yourself only, everything else will fall in place. Don't please anyone else. You're the person that God wants to see happy and loved. And only you can do that. Have a good night. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following. Love you all. Peace.